I'm going to be spilling the tea on myself today. Hey, what's up y'all, Vincent here. So in today's times, a lot of youth and young adults spend that portion of their lives seeking their identities while developing themselves. I'd say the 5 aspects that people work on during this time are fitness, mental health, finances, presentation, and relationships, with relationships being split between platonic and romantic. Since the early 2010s, online dating has prevailed as the primary vehicle for dating. And it's what I've been using since I started my own dating journey. Yes, you heard that right. I started my dating journey through online dating. Today I'm going to go over how my dating experience started and what I've learned from it along the way. This is going to get quite personal, but I'm comfortable with myself to share these incidents. I think the greatest tragedy about my dating history is that each big step that I took to learn how to date took a different girl to do so. But I want to share what I've learned from interacting with some of them, as I needed those steps to progress with my personal development. Prior to getting on any dating apps, let's go over who I was from the very beginning. Up until my final year of college at age 23, I had 0 dating experience. That's right. Zero! Never went on a date, never touched another girl, and never had a kiss. And I obviously did not go any further than that. The attempts that I did make were very uncalibrated and awkward, to say at the least, so I just gave up. I didn't know how to confidently do anything regarding any interest towards any girl. This lasted all the way up to January 2017, the year I was graduating college at age 23. 23-year-old me had never done anything with any girl. I was married to the game, and by the game, I mean League of Legends. But that would all change once I decided to download this app called Tinder, just to see what it was all about. Back in 2017, Tinder was a very simple app. You were shown profiles and you were given the option to swipe left, right, or super like. That was it. None of the other complicated crap that's on there today. At the time, I didn't really have any good pictures of myself because I really wasn't taking pictures of anything per se. So my profile at the time was pretty bad. These were some of the pictures that I used and that I could find. And my bio was memey and cringy. It was, I'll have you quivering in anticipation. But I would break off the word anticipation and use the full 500 word limit to move it all the way down to the bottom. So when you read my bio, you had to scroll through the whole thing just to see one word. Based on my profile, you'd probably think that I'd get like a few matches here and there for having a personality. Nope, I didn't get any matches initially. But then one day, I got a like, and at around 3 a.m. after another late gaming session, I went upstairs to my apartment bathroom to take a piss, and I ended up matching with this person. We'll call her L, and she was my first dating match ever. Now, I could go on for hours elaborating on each of these encounters that I had, but I'm gonna try to just keep it in a long story short format. So long story short, she sent me a message the next morning that said, "I'm anticipating." That started a nice, friendly conversation throughout the day, and after a while, I thought to myself, well, I should ask her out now, right? And so I did, and she agreed. We made a plan to get sushi together. It seemed like there was an opportunity to do it that same night, but I pushed it off to the following night because I had a dinner planned with friends that day. That would be an extremely important detail for later. I went out to eat with my friends that night and she added me on Snapchat, so we exchanged a few more messages and snaps before the day ended. The next morning, I saw that Elle had sent me a picture snap. Now, I was really excited because for the first time ever, I was receiving female attention from someone that reciprocated my interest, and she sent something personal to me. So I felt very special and overeager at that moment. When I saw that it was a selfie of her laying in bed starting a joke, what do you think I did with it? I screenshotted it, and then I screenshotted the punchline too. After that moment, I sent a text in the afternoon just to continue the fun conversation we had, and to my surprise, she didn't respond. At the time of the date, I sent her a text that I was on my way. Silence. I continued to disregard the signs that something was up, and I drove to the sushi restaurant anyways. I texted her once more once I was in the parking lot, and that's when she sent me a text saying that she wasn't feeling it anymore. And that was that. Unmatched and silence. That devastated me. I didn't think that I did anything wrong. and I didn't know why she would do something like that to me. I tried to explain myself, but she blocked my number. If you don't know what's so bad about screenshotting Snapchats, it's that the app notifies the other person when it happened. But after some reflection, I finally realized my mistake in being creepy with the Snapchat screenshots. And I realized that, despite the vibes being immaculate, there was always going to be some fragility between matching and meeting someone off an online dating app. It would be another year and a half since I matched with Elle before I reached the next point of my journey. I had moved back then with my parents in Portland, Oregon, and I was searching the job market and playing the online dating field. I decided to download Bumble as well, so now I had a Tinder and a Bumble profile. It was stressful seeing the extremely low demand that my profiles were generating, and I didn't accomplish anything meaningful during that time. That is, until I matched with Anna. There was really nothing special with Anna, but she was just my only option at the time. We started a conversation and it proceeded to the point where I could ask her out, and so I did. And we set up a date at a local mall. And for the first time ever, I actually met a girl for a date. So off we went to do some stuff. We started off with some lunch and she paid for it.
Nice.
Then we walked around the mall and bought some Jamba Juice. Since I didn't really know how to escalate things, I just had very good conversation with Anna and I didn't try to touch her at all. So the date ended and I didn't really know what to do, so we just hugged it out and then went off on our own ways. She said we had a good time afterwards, so we set up a second date. Now, Anna was a bit of a gamer and Overwatch was popping at the time. So before the second date, we decided to play together with one of her friends. I decided to ask one of mine to join as well, and well, he trolled them. He was saying weird and calling them Korea boos because they liked K-pop. That pretty much killed the vibe, and I had to apologize for his behavior.
You flaming idiot!
I thought that would fix things and I had a plan for escalating on the next date, but no, things were not fine. I set up the second date at a local science museum. When I met Anna again, I noticed that she had no makeup on this time, and she was dressed very casually. And so we went around the museum and had fun with the exhibits, but I just had this feeling that the vibe was off. So eventually I took her out onto this pier next to the museum, and that was where I was going to make my move. I tried it, and she rejected me. She was saying stuff about how her ex-boyfriend traumatized her or something like that. But that feeling that I had earlier, it was in full effect now, and I knew the date was over. Now that I had an actual experience of a date, I could see how I needed to dictate the direction and how it went. I also saw how something that was attributed to me caused enough disinterest in a previously interested girl to completely kill the vibe. I'm surprised that Anna would even show up to the second date, and I kind of wish that she didn't, but it's nice to have that extra experience. After Anna, I went out on a few more first dates for the next few months, but they didn't pan out to anything. And then I met Lisa. I matched with Lisa on Bumble, and I was surprised when she instantly messaged me. On Bumble, girls have to message first, and they usually have a 24-hour period to do so, but this was straight up done on minute 1. I don't know how I pulled this off, but I was working out when I matched with her. And by the end of the workout, we had arranged a date for that night. And so we met up at this fancy rooftop hotel bar. I decided that I would be a lot bolder this time, so after we took the elevator up, I immediately put my arm around her shoulder, and to my surprise, she reciprocated by putting her arm around my waist.
Holy cannoli, this is crazy.
We got some drinks and we were feeling each other as we talked, so I knew I had to make a move. I told her to come to the edge of the rooftop to look at the city with me, and as we were doing so, I just looked at her, cupped her cheek, and I went for it. And she reciprocated. Yes! Yes! That felt good. It felt really good. I had unlocked the next level, baby. And after doing that, the whole vibe just intensified. We continued to have such a good time that as things were winding down, I knew that I had a chance to go even further beyond. After we left our last location, she asked what we were going to do now. I suggested taking her back to her place with my car because she took public transportation to get here. After a little bit of discussion, she agreed, and it was game on. The problem was that I had become so incoherent that I forgot where I parked my car. So I dragged Anna around with me through the city for about 30 minutes looking for it, until I finally decided to give up and call her a lift. Now you would think that things went so well that I could not possibly screw this up. Well, if you want to know what happened next, I have the text right here.
I'd
So
like to hang out
I'm just
again.
gonna sit in
I had
silence for a
fun
bit.
last night.
Me too. How about dinner at your place on Wednesday or Thursday night? I'm going to San Francisco over the weekend, and I'd love to try out some of your cooking. Winky face.
At this point, I knew how to message and convert matches into dates and how to escalate during these dates. But still, I had no plan on what to do at the end since, you know, I was still a virgin and I still lived at my parents' house. So I would spend another year going on a bunch of pointless dates that obviously went nowhere, and I learned nothing new from them. And then I met May. May and I didn't set up a typical date. We were going to meet up for some clubbing. I was out celebrating a friend of a friend's birthday, and I linked up with May once that was winding down. We met up with some of her friends, did some jello shots, drank a few drinks, and then did a little bit of dancing. After a few hours of doing typical club stuff, I didn't really see anything happening, so I let her know while she was waiting in the bathroom, and she grabbed my face for a quick makeout. Alright then. I left and didn't think too much about that interaction until this happened.
Well, I should be home around 3 a.m.ish if you want to come over.
Oh, it was demon time, so you know I had to come through. I knew exactly what was going to happen, and I needed that experience. So I got May's address, drank a Gatorade just to sober up a little bit, and I sped straight down to her place. She lets me in and we go up to her apartment, and I see that she's got candles lit and she's wearing a bathrobe, so the atmosphere is already set. We sit on her bed and then we chat for a little bit. Then she sits on my lap, and so I go in for the kill. Things start as expected, but I just have 2 words for after that. Whiskey. Yeah, I couldn't get it up because of all the alcohol that I drank. I got to first, second, and third base, but I failed the whole round. I wasn't surprised when I didn't get a second chance. And a similar situation happened with another girl I'll call Sophia. We met up for drinks, went back to her apartment to pick up her friend, went to some salsa dancing after that, and then I took her back to her place. She said she was going to be straight up and not invite me in, but I really need to pee, so I asked her if I could do so and she let me back in. If I had any lick up experience, you should have known what's going on by now. But instead, I really did go up just to pee, and then I made out with her for a little bit and dipped. She said she didn't feel a connection after that. Dating. But perhaps the most significant encounter that I had was with a girl called Natasha. Natasha was the best fit I could ask for on a dating app. She was a very attractive person that was very interested in me. But more importantly than that, she took initiative in our conversation and made it very easy for me to ask her out. She asked questions about me, I suggested hanging out, she offered her phone number without asking, and we set up a date that same night. Out of all the girls that I previously interacted with, Natasha was both the most attractive and interested girl that I interacted with. How could I possibly screw that up? I'll tell you how. Remember how I said I knew how to do everything minus closing a date? Yeah, well, things went so well that I had no goddamn plan at the end of the date. She was basically urging me to do something, but I didn't want to take her back to like my parents' house or anything. And it seemed like she didn't have her own place. I didn't really know what to do here, so I was definitely panicking and feeling very jittery, and I think she felt that. Eventually, I grew some balls and gave her my home address, but I could tell that the hesitation from before definitely killed the vibe, and she obviously ended up flaking on me. And because of that night, I 100% knew that I had to move out, because my dating progress was forever going to be stunted by my continued insecurity with my living arrangement. And so I moved out into my own apartment, and then the pandemonium happened. By now, I was 25 years old, and I had spent 3 years on online dating. And I noticed that my matches and conversations were getting a lot more sparse and worse. I was getting more frustrated knowing that I had way better opportunities in the past while dealing with current horseshit. I valued getting experience more than being a virgin, so I did the one thing that would finally allow me to get over that hump. I lowered my standards drastically.
Oh, that'll do it.
And that's how I met Becky. Becky was someone that I didn't even find that attractive, but I needed to overcome my incompetence. And so I had to drop my ego and pride for it.
I need it!
So I did my usual game and set up a meetup. We met at a park while I was working out, and then I suggested hang out at my place after. We went there, we talked for a little bit, then we moved into my bedroom and it happened. The immediate feeling that I felt was relief.
It's over now.
My personal misery was over, and I finally closed a date. I'm sure Becky figured out it was my first time, and she made it clear there wasn't going to be a second one. But I didn't care. I'm someone who gains confidence through competence. And I could finally say, I'm someone who... And for a short time after that, my apartment became a revolving door. I was notching up hella experience like Thanos in the Infinity Stones. But soon after, the high started dying down, and I wanted to find someone that would fulfill me with more than just 1 or 2 dates. And so, I eventually left Portland for Seattle. I thought that it would be better. Initially, it wasn't, but eventually, I found what I was looking for. But that's a story for another day. There's just so much that I can talk about in regards to online dating. Because in my many years of using it, I've been personally involved and influenced by the modern dating culture. And I had to learn how to understand many aspects of it because my success heavily depended on that. I believe the best way for me to start my own conversations on these topics were just to simply share my experience. I wanted to go over the trials and tribulations that I went through in learning not only how to date, but how to date in modern times. Trust me, I have a lot to say on this topic. But that will be it for now. As always, if you've watched all the way here, then you should give this video a like, leave a comment if you have anything to say, and subscribe to stay in the loop for any future content that I make. Also, you can follow me on the gram. That's it for this video. I'm out. Bye-bye.